Hey everybody, welcome to our weekly ecosystem office hours. I am your host Jinx, and we are joined as always by the best and brightest in the Pocket ecosystem. Uh, Foundation updates this week are primarily about PGAT. That has been the thing. The teams have kicked off and running and are coordinating with PNF on their production timeline. We've been getting all of the milestone maps from them, so we are going to be kicking off a series of tweets and feature profiles with them starting next week. You can expect to see a lot out of there. Also, if you're a builder or a node runner in the Discord ecosystem, you are welcome to, at any point in time, jump into the PGAT channel and introduce yourself. Our established builders do have roles that provide access to that channel, so you are welcome to go there and engage as you like. Also, we are working on publishing those milestone maps so that everyone will get a chance to see what the progress is and the project intentions of the PGAT folks. So keep an eye out for that. Also, there's been some confusion in the past about how the PNF pro forma works. Kansu is on the call today if anyone would like to ask any specific questions, but I will suggest that you keep an eye on that over time if you're interested in looking at the ongoing expenses. One of the things that you'll find is that we are generally always trying to project the budget downward from where we are now based on where we can be more efficient or where the counts are. So you may see some adjustments to future projections around that as we continually figure out how to operate more efficiently. And I won't ask Gabby for updates because she was just off in Puerto Rico for 2 weeks, but we are awfully happy to see her back. So welcome back, Gabby. And I think that's it for our foundation updates right now. So I'm going to hand it off to Fred, I believe, for the...
To me.
To Art.
From the flu, so I apologize if I coughed as part of this. But it's good to hear everyone. See everyone rather. So I'll be giving the growth updates on Shannon Path and the portal. So starting with Shannon, some new beta testnet snapshots are live. I will drop the link after this call in the chat. Mainnet readiness is in full swing. We have new docs for the validators are up. There's a bunch of dependencies that we fixed, Cosmos upgrade dependencies that we fixed as well. There are a bunch of issues around performance and relay mining that were fixed as well. The migration is in flight right now. It's what we're working on before we do a final merge. It's just working out on edge cases. And very excitingly, WebSockets now work on Shannon's beta testnet. So a couple weeks ago, we gave an update that WebSockets were working on Path, and now we have WebSockets working on Shannon. I definitely am personally extremely excited about this. I've been wanting this for over a year. We have a couple of customers who ping us weekly asking for when this is going to happen. I just had someone ping us the other day. So it's great to know that this is working. And there was a great tweet by Redwood, one of the protocol engineers, showcasing this, which we can link to, or someone on the community call can link to if they want in the chat. So that's the Shannon update. For Path, traffic mirroring is continuously ongoing. So we're mirroring real traffic from our internal portal to the Path feature, and that's going into production. We have made a ton of quality of service upgrades. So we've been working with Liquify in the background. They've been submitting bug features and issues that they've experienced in using Path. And whenever those come in, we prioritize them over everything else for Path. And we have made a bunch of those changes, and they have been merged in. And then we're doing some infrastructure as code foundation right now for Path, so we can have a better IAC for Path when we go live. And lastly, on our portal, we have hit many scaling limitations. Part of it was due to infrastructure downsizing in the last 6 months to save on costs. But given where we are now and seeing that there's a bit more demand for traffic coming in, we are going to be scaling up our resources again and burning a little hotter. So this is going to be happening in the next week. Hopefully we'll have an update for you all before next Wednesday that this is live, that we move to heavier machines. And that's it.
Beautiful. And as mentioned previously, I will be in ETH Denver in Denver for ETH Denver. So if you are in the area or planning on attending the convention, please ping me, and I'd love to meet up with you out there. So I believe that's everything that was on our scheduled agenda for this morning. So at this point, I'll open the floor and open it up to questions. Oh, Zatar. Oh, yeah, Zatar, do you want to give an update? I know that you published an additional thread. Yes, sir. Go
Thanks.
for it.
Thank you very much, Jinx. Yeah, just a quick update on the DAO Oversight Committee issue. It's I believe 8 people have put their names forward to sit on the committee. I'll start the vote today. I'll put a link in the chat here to the posts that in the forum that people put up with information about themselves and a little bit about the way the vote will run. So if you are voting, please select up to 4 people. The committee will consist of the 3 people who get the most votes, but just in case somebody has to recuse themselves because of a conflict of interest, the 4th person, that is the person who gets the 4th most votes, they will substitute for the person who is recusing themselves. And if someone on the committee has to step aside for any other reason, that 4th person will also take their spot, either temporarily or permanently, depending on what the circumstances are. So the vote will be using the approval method. I don't think we've used that before in what's it called? Snapshot.box. Please use the link in the forum post that I'll be putting up later today to access the voting interface. And you'll have to approve, well, you'll be asked to approve up to 4 people from the names that are available. And that's it. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Zatar. I encourage everyone to participate in the democratic process out there and get the oversight committee put together. Other topics of interest or questions? Anything along that line? Servicers are receiving much more rewards than validators right now. Will parameters change more in favor of validators pre-Shannon? It's a good question. We've been talking quite a bit about how to incentivize a stronger participation in the validator portion of the network, and to make sure that it's a lot more expensive to try to attack our validation pool. I've put out some proposals on, sample numbers, but those proposals have some complexity to them from an execution perspective. One of which is that it's not possible to rev share the validator portion of rewards, so it is difficult to for node runners to easily participate in that kind of a schema. So I am working with our Pocket Economics Committee, which is made up of ourselves and Ramiro and Tracy, who are providing economics oversight and input. And we are talking about exactly those kinds of questions. I would like for the validator reward ratio to be much stronger, but it has to be done in such a way that node runners who have an existing client base can participate in that as well. So we don't want to make any arbitrary changes there. The original split, FYI, was always 85, 10, and 5 from a servicer to DAO to validator perspective. So, 5% has been around the cap. Who is in Pocket Economics team? That's what I was just saying, is that Ramiro and Tracy are the sort of major analysts who are providing economics insight there. And then, of course, the entire PNF team. I see you typing. Does it worry you that Pocket has reached a new low? Do you really believe that Shannon can turn things around so much and bring Pocket back to last year's price at this time? Well, first of all, I'm not going to touch a what can happen with the price perspective. That sounds too much like being asked to make a prediction, and that's just not something that I'm interested in doing. Does it worry me that Pocket has reached a new low? Absolutely. The economic viability of the network is in part reliant on the token price, and that has to be a major consideration in how strategy is approached and how the foundation itself, has budget and all the rest of that. So yes, very much so. Which podcast will you be attending next week? I'll be a guest on Charlie Shrem's podcast. Charlie Shrem is basically an early Bitcoin OG and has a pretty significant following. Other questions? I see you typing. And of course, feel free either way. You can, you're allowed to just come off mute and ask a question if you like. But I'm more than happy to read them out from the chat. Could we expect an exact launch date for Shannon in March? That would be a question for Art.
I don't have that answer right now.
Okay. I'll add that when we get the sign off that we're going to be ready for that go live, we do have to add some administrative time around that as far as making sure that we're coordinated across all of the node runners, the exchanges, the gateways, and the bridges. So when we have that date from Grove, we will also need to have our sort of final execution date from PNF, but that should be fairly closely aligned. I see typing. We need a little sound effect for when people are typing. Are the applicants that weren't selected for the accelerator going to be given any access to the testnet, maybe without the guidance and grants? Anyone who wants to participate in the testnet has the ability to do so right now. And if there are any, permissions type issues with that, then we would obviously be quick to handle them. We very much want to encourage participation in testnet. So if you know any teams that want to be playing on testnet or want to be testing out functionality with, both the Shannon testnet and also with the Path SDK, then please have them reach out. We are happy to help them get onboarded. Also, any teams that weren't selected are also staying in our long-term contacts list. We're definitely not forgetting those people are there. We want them to participate in the ecosystem. They just weren't selected for this cohort of the accelerator. When we do the next round of accelerator or the next cohort, they are certainly encouraged to apply then as well. Is Olshansky going to join these weekly calls? I mean, he's certainly welcome to. I don't have that as a requirement or a request. We don't.
But we try to protect the time of all the engineers.
Yeah,
there's a lot,
and
going
we
on
don't
with the
generally
teams.
get into fine point. It isn't really the venue for fine point engineering answers, to tell the truth. Like those things you want documented in text so that the answers are reusable and such. Better off to get his answers in the Discord. Other questions? Oh, I'm going to kick in one that I was DM'd earlier today that we should definitely be pushing out to the ecosystem at large. Breezy asked him specific about where we're going to be able to read about the PGA team's project overviews, what they're trying to accomplish, and all that sort of thing. So we are pushing out some company or project tweets starting next week that will be talking about some of that. And we are also publishing team profiles that have been created by our very own Tim Riggins that have a lot of detail about the teams themselves who are actually building these products. So you are going to see a lot more information about the PGA teams and what they're building in short order starting next week. They're typing, they're typing. When are PGA teams expected to complete their gateways entirely? I mean, it's probably we've talked about this internally. It's probably better to call them apps than gateways. Shout out Gabby. See, I know that that was important to you. So we'll just call them apps for to sort of broadly, describe their functionality. But the program is a 3-month program, so we are expecting them to be able to have their apps ready for deployment into production shortly after the Shannon launch. But we will be having a demo day ahead of the Shannon launch, so there will be an opportunity to see their apps in working state before that. Leroy Jenkins asks, "What type of product does Arthur use on the top of his head to get so shiny, glowing, and rejuvenated?" I expect that it's a combination of Pantene and the leather polish. Art uses the tears of his devs. Do we have any other real questions? I hope Jerry always cuts these gaps out. Otherwise, that video probably has some boring points. Okay, real question. This time next year, will I be a millionaire? Well, I guess that depends entirely on what your total business landscape is. That's the real answer for that. I agree, Gabby. Good question, Ramiro. How are the projects that PGAT teams are working on evaluated to determine whether or not they will be successful in terms of bringing more traffic to the network? That's a good question. I mean, I don't think that we are evaluating that right now. Given that so much of this is an emerging space, we can all, rectally retrieve some estimations about how much traffic they can bring, but part of that is on how successful their gateways and apps are. So part of what PGAT is doing is not just, fostering the development for these products, but we're also giving them support from a market messaging and narrative perspective, from an overall exposure perspective. We're trying to make sure that they have as strong a launch pad as possible for their specific services. One, to demonstrate the kinds of things that are possible on Pocket Network, but also because if they're successful, that contributes to the greater success of the protocol. So they are being given as much support as is possible to help them become successful. But we're not evaluating their ideas based on its ability to drive traffic to the network, because that would be kind of an impossible evaluation to make right now. With the initial investment rounds that Grove Pocket ran, a lot of these orgs received tokens. Are any of these funds or investors being coordinated with to promote Shannon and the excitement about seeing the project through its initial vision? Money follows money, and I think that could go a long way. Actually, first of all, that's a great question, a fair question to ask about the ecosystem, I think. But secondly, yes, very much so. One of the things that we're doing for the demo day, for instance, is inviting a lot of the investors that are currently within the ecosystem to see the products that are being built out on Pocket Network, and hey, maybe even follow some of the products individually if they like the teams and like what's being built. But secondly, we have regular conversation with people and organizations who have invested in the ecosystem to, report our own progress, to get updates on their perspectives, and hopefully to help promote the ecosystem and the protocol itself as broadly as possible. So one of the things that I'll be doing in ETH Denver, in fact, the whole reason that I committed to going to ETH Denver to begin with, is meeting with some of the venture capital groups that are out there that are participants in our ecosystem to talk about where we are and what our plans are and how things are moving forward from here. So yes, they are very active members of the ecosystem. They are definitely not hands off. What are expectations from them in terms of total traffic coming from them? Are the numbers in a couple millions range or more like billions? Again, you're asking a question about a product that doesn't exist yet. I can tell you billions, but there's literally no metric by which to evaluate or estimate that traffic. If their product is popular and successful and accomplishes its marketing goals, it could absolutely be billions. If not, it could be 10. There's just no way to answer that question in a meaningful fashion. We are encouraging and supporting the growth of applications and gateways on the protocol, because that all contributes to the adoption of the protocol. But asking for estimations on an app that doesn't exist yet is kind of a heavy lift there. 10 billion day update. Yes. So for anyone who has been part of the conversations in the Telegram, and I think it's been mentioned here on Discord before as well, we are looking into running a coordinated load testing effort on Shannon, which has been dubbed 10 Billy Day. So essentially, we would set up applications on the test net and simulate an extraordinary amount of traffic to load test the hell out of Shannon nodes that are participating in testnet, in order to both purely test and also to demonstrate the scalability that's possible with Shannon nodes. We don't have a date for that set. We do want to do some coordinated marketing around it, so there are some foundational things that are still in progress right now to get that together. But we love the idea, and we talked to Grove and verified that we can essentially get on there and do exactly that without any concerns of breaking infrastructure or anything along that line. So we very much are going to beat the hell out of testnet, and hopefully we'll have an actual day for you to announce that soon. I'm guessing close to the end of March from an estimate on the time perspective. Will this work be open source? Community should benefit from it and be able to build on top of it further. I assume you're talking about PGAT. I believe so. What's funny is that's actually a question that I have not stopped to ask, but I'm pretty sure they all have repos on GitHub. I will verify that. Good question. I'll get a solid answer for you. Also, they are coordinating in the PGAT channel on Discord, and you may have already seen that some of them are talking about working together on some of this. And there are certain things that don't need to be written in 6 different ways, right? If we're talking about API access for LLM controllers, in usage with Path, there's probably a good way to write that once and share that among the teams. So we didn't require that because everyone is, engineers are different and they may want to work in a specific way that others don't, or the specific needs of the implementation of their API may be different, and so they may build it in a slightly different way. But we very much are already encouraging, component reuse as much as is possible between the projects. So there is already some of that mindset around. Absolutely agree on the reasoning. Just can't give you a solid answer on if all of their repos are public yet, but I will. We're typing. We're typing. Crypto says my repos are public, but not OSS. Some stuff will be open source as time goes on, both related and unrelated to Pocket. Got it. Okay. So you can see the work, even if it's not open to contributions. Any updates on the DPIN partnership with Infura? It seems to have gone quiet, and I expected to see an increase in relays by now. Maybe a question for Art. Yeah, on the DIN project, I mean, I haven't heard anything different about it. Art, do you have anything to offer on that front?
No, they still send traffic. They're working with every single provider in the industry. So there's over 60 of them, and they are moving towards a restaking narrative. Originally, from what I recall, they were trying to launch their own Pocket-like token, but realized how difficult it was and didn't want to deal with the tokenomics piece directly, from what I've understood. And given that there was no good or perfect solution, they decided to switch towards becoming an ABS. And beyond that, I haven't really been following the updates as closely because their meetings actually happen at the same time these meetings do every week. Um, I listen through the conversations and the slides every so often, but there's nothing here directly that affects us at this point in time.
Zatar asked, Jinx, if possible, please post a link to your interview at ETH Denver. Charlie Shrem's podcast is very public and very visible, and you can find my previous interview on there before if you like. You can just Google his name and you'll find the podcast quickly. But after it's done and live, which I think there's generally about a week or 2 lead time before they get published, I will be sure to share that link back out. Shrem, Shrem. Charlie Shrem. And he's an interesting character. I encourage you to read his wiki entry. Other questions? I'm always happy to give some of your time back, should you prefer it. Any thoughts on attacking other T1s aside from Coinbase? Yes. I guess here's my thought on that. Well, I mean, and we're already on Upbit, and the only thing that is holding us back from greater engagement on Upbit is the Korean won pair. And from everyone we have talked to, we have basically zero influence on if and when that choice is made. They listed Pocket without any input from the foundation, so there's literally nothing that we can directly do to influence the Korean exchanges. We do have open conversations with all those folks. I've got a Telegram channel with them. We have friendly conversations and provide updates as necessary. We're coordinating with them for the Shannon upgrade. But yeah, that's about all that can be done there. So from other tier ones perspective, the foundation has not been operationally strong enough to stand up to the kind of oversight that has been outlined in the Coinbase directions in the past. There have been a number of transitions and changes along the way, a number of shifts in strategy, a number of shifts in how reporting is done, and hell, even some pretty significant proposed changes in DAO structure with different systems being used for voting and such. It's my opinion, as of the current standing, that it is best to focus on a single execution that we can do well and complete and get that done. And in doing so, demonstrate that we are the kind of organization and the kind of project that deserves that level of market attention. So I am not particularly inclined to try and take on a multi-front effort at this point. I want to go from A to Z on a single executable, and then we can expand out from there. And I think that focusing our effort on that gets us a better opportunity and a better chance of success with that. And honestly, if we get listed on Coinbase, then a number of other exchanges will just list it because they know there will be enough volume. Other questions? Still see typing. It is not realistic to expect Coinbase listing, is it? I disagree entirely. Coinbase has specifically set out in the last few weeks that they are looking to list builders, that they have, the market has run its course on meme coins and shit coins, and Coinbase has committed to a focus on projects that are building actual products, which Pocket absolutely qualifies from top to bottom. And in doing so, they have set out a number of qualifying factors to be listed. One, they have no listing fee. There is zero monetary barrier to being listed. Two, no political fee. You don't have to go through a friend of a friend of a friend to get there. Three, it is entirely based on operational analysis, and that includes things like how tightly are the finances managed, are the tokenomics predictable and published in somewhere where they're going to be followed on an actual basis? It does the product or does the project run like a fiscally responsible business? And so there are some key metrics that they've outlined that we have every ability to actually accomplish. So I don't think it's unrealistic at all based on what they have said in the last 30 days about qualifications for builder-based projects. They just want to evaluate that the projects are real and not bullshit. And we win on a number of those fronts. The places where we've struggled in the past operationally and with our ability to report around some of these things has been a barrier in the past, but it is not now. And we're working towards becoming the kind of organization that strongly qualifies on all of their parts. I believe, if I'm not wrong, don't mean to spread bad info, Grove spoke to them about potentially providing RPC services years ago. I could be mistaken, but I imagine the lines of communication there have already been opened. Sorry if wrong. Art?
I spoke with him 3 years ago or 2 years ago about a potential listing, but never RPC services. We did work with Bison Trails before that was acquired and became Coinbase Cloud. And so many years ago, we did offer, either we offered or they offered RPC services. This was around the time I had joined, so I don't remember the specifics. But the Bison Trails folks that moved over to Coinbase Cloud are no longer there, and that contract was over many years ago. So no, there's nothing there.
Okay, noted. Yeah, it's from the perspective of a Coinbase listing, that's going to be a PNF conversation. That's entirely a foundation responsibility. So we have a clear understanding of what their metrics are, and we are making sure that top to bottom, our organization meets all of them so that we qualify for that listing. And based on Coinbase's publicly documented commitment, if we're meeting all of those obligations, then we should be able to achieve a listing and without any sort of a fee, which is the important part. Any other questions? As always, this is your best opportunity of the week to get straight from the horse's mouth answers from some of the key players in the ecosystem. So we're happy to be here and happy to answer questions from the community at large. Okay, well, I think that's the end of our questions based on no activity in chat and nobody else coming off mute. So thank you, everybody, as always, for attending our weekly calls. We appreciate you being here, and we will see you again, same time next week.